For the video today, this is section 1.9, the U.S. System of Weights and Measures. And I'm going to talk to you about how to convert between measurements, but we are going to stay within the U.S. standard system. There is some pieces in the book that are interesting to look at. If you want, it talks about how we came up with an inch, how we came up with a foot, and it's kind of an interesting story. What I have for you here is I have some conversion chart for you. Your textbook does have one on the front cover and on the back cover. This is one that you can go ahead and look at. I also have a copy of it with the video on Canvas for you. So some of these you may or may not know, may or may not have worked with before. And one of the ways that I convert is using what we call unit analysis. And the reason that I choose to use that is that it works no matter how big the problem is or how small the problem is. And then there's no question of it, should I be multiplying the numbers or should I be dividing the numbers? So that's how I'm going to cover this. So our first question talks about how do we change 3 tablespoons to teaspoons. So up above we're going to look up what is the relationship between tablespoons and teaspoons. So I look for those two words, tablespoons and teaspoons, and I see that 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon. So this is the relationship I'm going to use. So when I use unit analysis, I kind of make a little bit of a table. And I always start with what they give me. So they gave me 3 tablespoons, and they only gave me 1 unit. So that means I'm only going to have 1 unit. So I'm going to cross this one off because I only have a single unit. Now when I go to put in there what I know, which is, we just looked it up and it says 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon. To figure out which one goes where, because we have a top and a bottom, we put whatever is on top before we put on the bottom in the new one. So since I have tablespoons on top on the left, I'm going to put the 1 tablespoon, and I see this chart uses the P. Some charts use the P, some don't. But TBS is the same as TBSP. So I have a tablespoon on top and a tablespoon on bottom. Now that is equal to 3 teaspoons, so I'm going to put the 3 TSP on the top. Now, the rationale behind that is if I have something on top and something on bottom, they cancel out. So this tablespoon here is going to cancel out with this tablespoon, leaving me with a single unit of teaspoons. Now, I don't need that big old line, so I can go ahead and make it a little bit smaller, but not that much smaller. So what we do now is we multiply straight across. So the top is 3 times 3. The bottom is simply the unit 1. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 over 1 is 9. And our unit that was left was teaspoons. So 3 tablespoons is equal to 9 teaspoons. Now if you've done any kind of cooking, you probably knew that the second I asked the question. But remember, I'm trying to show you a method that works for the simple ones and as we get more complex. Now as far as the assignments go in WebAssign, you're not showing your work. So however you get yourself there, that's totally up to you. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at example 2. We're going to change 72 feet to yards. So we have to go look up what we know about feet and yards. So feet and yards, and I'm going to go ahead and erase this line. Feet and yards. There are 3 feet in 1 yard. And when you guys take your test, you should definitely be using this to on your test because you don't have to memorize this stuff. So I'm going to set up my table. They gave me 72 feet to start. It's a single unit, so I don't have anything on the bottom. And you'll see as we go to where there's more than 1 unit how that changes. And then we just said that there were 3 feet in 1 yard. Since my feet is on the top, I need my feet to go on the bottom. And it said 3 feet was equal to 1 yard. Now I know this is correct because my feet are on the top and the bottom, so they're going to cancel. And I don't have to think about if I'm multiplying or dividing because I'm going to multiply straight across. So it's 72 times 1, and the bottom is just a 3. 72 over 3 is 24, and the unit that's left is yards. So 72 feet is equal to 24 yards. Now we have ounces and pints. So we're going to go up and look for ounces and pints. So ounces and pints. Ounces and pounds, ounces and pints. There we go. 16 ounces is 1 pint. So I have 56 ounces to start. There are 16 ounces in 1 pint. So my ounces cancel. 56 times 1, 16 on the bottom, 56 over 16. Now these numbers aren't quite as nice. 16 doesn't go into 56 as a whole number, so hopefully you have some type of calculator that you can use. Just some $5 calculator, it doesn't have to be expensive. You even have your calculator on your phone. So 56 divided by 16 is 3.5 pints. So at least it's not too bad. Okay, last one on this side, 3 miles and to rods. So miles to rods. Here's rods to furlongs. Here's 8 furlongs is a mile, but I want miles and rods. Now what I'm noticing is I don't have a straight miles to rods. Now that doesn't mean I can't do it, I just may have to use more than one number. So let's do, well, I know a rod is 5.5 yards, and what were we given? We were given miles. So let's start with miles. So 1 mile is 8 furlongs. So let's use this one right here to start. 1 mile is 8 furlongs, and I honestly have never used a furlong. So 1 mile is 8 furlongs. So notice my miles cancel. Now I'm in furlongs, but that's not where I want to be. I want to be in rods. So I'm going to go back up and I'm going to look for another option that talks about furlongs and rods. So here I have 1 furlong is 40 rods. So let's go back to that. So since I have furlongs on the top, I need to put my 1 furlong on the bottom. And it said 1 furlong was 40 rods. Now since my word is where I was going, I know I'm done. I don't have to use the chart anymore. My furlongs are on top and bottom, so they cancel. So now remember, we multiply across the top, and since we have more than one number on the bottom, we would multiply across the bottom as well. So I have 3 times 8 times 40, and on the bottom I have 1 times 1. 3 times 8 is 24, 24 times 40 is 960. 1 times 1 is 1, so it's 960 over 1. So 3 miles is 960 rods. Okay? So now the next couple, we have 5 pounds and 3 ounces to ounces. So part of where we're starting at is already in ounces and part of it's not. So we're really only going to convert these 5 pounds to ounces. So we're going to look up ounces and pounds. My eraser went away, so that's why I'm not erasing the blue line. So ounces and pounds. I have 16 ounces is 1 pound. So I'm going to take my 5 pounds. Now I know I was given 3 ounces, but I'm going to ounces, so this isn't quite what I was talking about. I still don't have another unit. And there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. Now see, I already screwed it up. Now notice I can tell right away if I put it in the wrong spot. So my pounds aren't going to cancel. So we did this one wrong, no big deal, we just start over. There's a prime example of if you happen to do it wrong. So my ounces have to be on top and my pound has to be on the bottom, because see, now my pound can cancel, whereas it couldn't before. So I'm in ounces. So I have 5 times 16, and I have the 1 on the bottom. 5 times 16 is 80 over 1, which is just 80. Now, don't forget, we originally had 5 pounds and 3 ounces. So these 80 ounces, we have to add the 3 ounces there to get the total ounces. So 5 pounds, 3 ounces is equivalent to 83 ounces. Okay, let's try one more of those kind. So this time we have 6 gallons in quarts, and we're going to pints. So even though these are not in pints, we're going to change gallons to quarts. Then we'll add the 3 quarts, and then we'll change those quarts to pints. So 6 gallons is where we're starting. So let's see what we can find out about gallons and quarts. Gallons and quarts. There are 4 quarts in a gallon. So 1 gallon has 4 quarts. So let's go ahead and figure out what this is. So 6 times 4 over 1. So I'm at 24 quarts. Now I have 3 quarts to add to that. So now I'm at 27 quarts. Now, I don't want to be in quarts, I want to be in pints. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to steal a little bit of room down here, and we're going to move down here for a moment. So in my table, I have 27 quarts. So I have to find out how many quarts and pints are there together. So there are 2 pints in a quart. So 2 pints in 1 quart. My quarts are canceling. So I have 27 times 2. And I just put it here because I'm out of room. Over 1. 27 times 2 is 54. So there are 54 pints in my original problem of 6 gallons and 3 quarts. Sorry about that kind of being all over the place. Okay, so we only have 3 left. So I have a 1 type of scenario for you, and then 2 that actually have where I have more than 1 unit, which I was talking about earlier. So a farmer wishes to wire a shed that is 1 mile from the electricity source in his barn. He uses number 0 gauge copper wire, which has a resistance of 1/10 ohms per 1,000 feet. What is the resistance for the mile of wire? So I have to know how many ohms are there in a mile of wire. Well, a mile compared to feet. So we're going to have to figure out, we got to convert this. So we got to figure out how many feet are in a mile. So I have 1 mile. So we're going to see how many feet that is. Going up here. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Okay, so my miles cross, and now I'm in feet. Now, to figure out how many ohms are in those 1,000 feet, we know that for every 1,000 feet, there is 1/10 of an ohm. Okay, and if you're going to go be an electrician, you'll learn all sorts of stuff in ohms. Now, I knew to put my feet here so that it would cancel with the feet that are on top. Now my answer, it wants to know what's your resistance, which is just ohms. So I know I'm in the right way. So we're going to go ahead and multiply the top. So 1 times 5280 times 1/10. Now if you don't have a fraction calculator to put in 1/10, just divide by 10. So I get 528. I take 1 times 1,000, which is 1,000. 528 divided by 1,000. My answer is 0.528 ohms. So that's my total resistance. Okay? And even if you don't know what the topic is about, like this one, if you don't know anything about electricity, it doesn't mean you can't do the math. Okay? It is a lot easier if you know it, but you can still do it. Now these last two problems, these are feet per hour, and this is feet per minute. So this is a problem where I say it has more than one unit. So this time when we set this up, you're going to have units on both top and bottom. So we have 4,500 feet per hour. And since there's no number with that h, it's just a 1. It's understood to be a 1. Now we're changing from feet per hour, this is a 1, to feet per minute. So I don't need to change my feet. They get to stay. What I am changing is my time. So my hours have to change to minutes. So you have to ask yourself, because I don't have any up on the top, how many minutes are in an hour? And there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Since I want my hour to go away, I have to put the hour on top and the minutes on bottom. That way my hours cancel. So I see that I'm left with feet on top and minutes on bottom, which is exactly what I wanted. So now I just have to do any multiplication and dividing. So I have 4,500 times 1, and I have 1 times 60. So 4,500 over 60, again I'm using my calculator, gives me 75 feet per minute. Now, as you're getting used to doing your assignments on WebAssign always puts your units in for you. That's kind of the nice thing, except it doesn't when you take your test, and if you don't, then you get marked down, because units are really important as far as if you actually were going out doing this. If you did it in feet and it was supposed to be in yards, that's a huge difference in what's going on. So units are imperative. You have to make sure you're taking care of those. Okay, so our last example for this section, 36 inches per second, and we're going to switch that to miles per hour. So I have 36 inches, and again, since there's nothing with the s, it's a 1s for 1 second. We're switching both of them. We're switching from inches to miles and seconds to hours. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with the top, inches to miles. Now I don't know if I can get all the way from inches to miles. We might have to do a couple things. I know there are 12 inches in a foot, and then we used already that there were 5,280 feet in a mile. So let's use both of those. Since I'm currently in inches, we're going to do 12 inches in 1 foot. That way my inches cancel. Now we'll do the feet to miles, and it said there were 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So my inches are gone, and I'm all the way to a mile. So I'm done with that number. Now I have to change the seconds to hours. So I'm dealing with time. I know there are 60 seconds in a minute. So I'm going to put the 60s and 1 minute on the bottom. That way the s on the bottom cancels with the s on the top. And then I'm in minutes, but I don't want to be in minutes. I want to be in hours. So I know there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So you can see how the bigger ones, you can have lots of different numbers and units in here. That's why I use this method of unit analysis. Just to help me keep track of all this mess. Okay, so the last units I see are miles and hours, so I'm exactly where I want to be. So now I just do all the multiplying. So I'm just multiplying all of these straight across. So I'm going to do 36 times 1 times 1 times 60 times 60. On the bottom, I'm going to do 1 times 12 times 5280 times 1 times 1. Now we know multiplying times 1 doesn't change anything, so really to save yourself some keystrokes you could just put in the numbers that aren't 1. So 36 times 60 times 60 gives me a top number of 129,600. I'm going to do 12 times 5280 on the bottom, gives me 63,360. 129,600 divided by 63,360. Not a whole number, so we're going to do it's approximately 2.0, we'll do 5, and it's miles per hour. So sometimes they're not going to come out really beautiful, and in those cases you just do the best and round it accordingly. Okay, if you have any questions, make sure you send me an email so I can help you out, and I will upload these notes blank so that you have them to also use when you're reading or watching the video. Okay, we're looking forward to a great semester, and I'll talk to you soon.